Belonging, family is God's idea. Today in part 12, I want to talk to you about 3 stages in marriage. You know, many marriages fail because of ignorance. And the ignorance is that many people honestly believe that romantic love will carry them all the way through their married life. Well, maybe you'd like to listen up a little bit. If you're planning to get married, if you're married, I don't know what stage you might be in your relationship, but you might want to key in so that you can make the best of every stage in your relationship. After people get married, many say he or she has changed. This is not the person that I married. I don't know what went wrong with him. I don't know what went wrong with her. Most of the times this occurs because people who are marrying, number one, do not know each other. Didn't really care to know each other, but to explore each other. Secondly, they did not want to see the faults in each other because of the excitement of the relationship. Listen, if you're not excited today about your relationship, don't shout it out. But there was a time you were excited in your relationship. And in that time when you're excited is when you refuse to see the fault in the other person. Thirdly, they did not count the costs. Single people please themselves. Married people learn to please each other. God help you if after you get married, you still try to live as you're single. You will be single. Fourthly, this is the stage when you're dressed to impress, behavior and all. Because you're trying to make the other person think you're perfect. Stage 1. Let's look first at stage 1 in marriage. I call this stage the honeymoon stage. This is the time of the relationship where romance reigns. Where in your head, male and female, nothing else exists but romance. In your heart, nothing else exists but romance. In this first stage, you walk to work and you walk back from work and you didn't notice anybody on the street because your mind was focused only on romance. In this stage, even the moon becomes jealous. La luna está celosa. La luna dice or diga or whatever. You fit in the right grammar because I don't know Spanish. Pero la luna dice al sol, ve abajo. ¿Por qué no me quiere? Even the moon gets jealous because of this first honeymoon. Have you ever wondered why it's called moon? Honeymoon, the moon looks down. You see, it's under the moon that so many romance takes place. And that's why the moon looks down and tells the sun, what happened with me? And you look down there. Wow. In this stage, every other person and everything on earth ceased to exist. You forgot you have other friends. You forgot you have a father. You forgot you have a mother. You forgot all kinds of things because nothing else mattered in this honeymoon stage except the person that you've hooked up with. That's the only thing that exists and matters. In this stage of honeymoon is where honey flows from the honeycomb. And I mean, life is as sweet as it can ever be. And you'll live to testify that it was the sweetest time. Was the sweetest time. In this stage of honeymoon is where infatuation and attraction is the rule of the day. Almost to the point of obsession. Where I can't live without him, I can't live without her, I don't even want to go to work. Everything about that person is so beautiful. Oh, Lord, help me not to fall asleep. It's like every day you say to yourself, serve me some love and serve me some more, and don't let it ever end, please. Everybody loves the honeymoon stage. And I call stage 2 in marriage the awakening stage. Maybe the rude awakening stage. Because it catches us by surprise. This is the stage where the man and woman have had a belly full of intimacy. Been there, done that. Oh, come on, that didn't pop. Been there, done that. That still didn't sound healthy. Been there, done that. There you go. Yeah. They finally awakened to reality. This is not the person I fell in love with. What's next? This is the stage where you must learn to grow through your differences. Because the woman doesn't tell you anything anymore about your beautiful legs, and the man doesn't tell you anything more about your beautiful neck. All that's gone forever and ever. Amen. You now move into stage 2. When your eyes are finally open because you've gotten your belly full of intimacy. It's now becoming stale. And now your eyes are finally open and you start to see the differences in each other. And it's not as nice as we would like them to be. Solomon, the same man who wrote those very romantic words. My baby is like a gazelle. Her neck is like a tower in Lebanon. Her eyes are like doves. And you remember the rest. It is this same Solomon who wrote those very romantic words that wrote the book of Proverbs. And this is what he said in the book of Proverbs. And you would think that this man went nuts. Or like we would say here, bananas. What's wrong with him? Where are all the beautiful words? Where are all the nice things? Listen to what he wrote when he stepped into stage 2, which is the rude awakening. In Proverbs 21:9, he says, better to dwell in the corner of a housetop than in a house shared with a miserable woman. But how can you drastically change like that? In Song of Songs, this man wrote words that would be sold for millions of dollars today. And when he stepped into stage 2 of marriage, the awakening, he now started to talk differently about the woman. He says, I got to go in my attic. I can't stand the misery. Have you ever been there before? I ask you to be silent for your own safety. All the beautiful words have vanished. Now the man who taught that this woman was like a beautiful palm tree with clusters of buttercups. now says, I can't live with you. I'm finding the attic because you're a miserable woman. Now, you know, the woman did not write her part because Solomon was the one that wrote the book of Proverbs. But I can only imagine that if she could have written her part to answer what this man said, here is what it would sound like. Remember, Solomon wrote Proverbs 21:9, New King James Version, and he said, better to dwell in the corner of a housetop than with a woman, than to share a house with a miserable woman. Well, I want to give that woman a fair chance. She didn't make it in the Bible, but this is what she would say if she did write her share in the Bible. Proverbs 21:9, written by wife, New Queen Jessica Version. Better to dwell in the corner of a housetop than in a house shed with a perverted, egoistic, ill-mannered, cheap, greedy, inconsiderate, lying, nonsensical man. Oh yeah, it's called stage 2. All the buttercup is over. They've delighted in love. And now reality surfaces and the difference are rearing their heads. And the man said, I have to go live in the attic. And the woman who thought this man was perfect now has the worst words for him. Now, you'll not find that in the Bible, but I just imagine if that woman had her chance to write a portion in the Bible, this is what it would sound like. In this second stage is where they argue over differences and are no longer willing to give in. You fuss and you fuss and you fuss, and nobody wants to give in. Because I have my rights. Where were your rights when you first met? Hidden. Wasn't that it wasn't there? It was always there. But I was just so honeymoon caught up that I didn't want it to surface. But now that you and I have put ring on finger, take what you get. They defend themselves, mostly with words, but some with knives and forks and plates. They defend themselves, they become non-trusting, self-protecting, defensive, angry, bitter, resentful, and unwilling to admit their faults. You know that you know you're wrong, but you'll never say it. Why? Because I'm not impressing you no more. And I'm not giving in to you no more. I've always liked certain stuff and you're not going to change me. They criticize and condemn each other and lie to one another. All of a sudden now, my dear wife is not like a gazelle no more. You understand what I mean? I just don't see the Coke bottle no more. I'm seeing now more like a tub of, I'll just keep it there for now. They criticize and condemn each other. The wife will tell the husband, I didn't know you look like that. In the beginning, the man seemed to think that everything she did was perfect. Now, little of anything she ever does seems to be right. But in the beginning, everything was perfect. There is now very little respect towards the man. She thinks he is a beast and a monster keeping her back in life. Yep, it's called the awakening. The stage where all of a sudden the differences start to surface because you're no longer blinded by romantic love. You've now stepped into the real deal. They become disappointed with each other, entertaining second thoughts about each other, after being with each other. Entertaining second thoughts. I don't know if it's him I want to be with forever. I don't know if it's her I want to be with forever. This doesn't seem like what I wanted in life at all. The couple's dreams are not coming true. At times they say, I feel trapped, or I wish I was single again than to be married to this selfish person. And that's why I encourage everybody in here that are single, stay single as long as you can. It's better to be single than to mingle. Because when you start to mingle, you're soon going to dingle and twingle. Some become discouraged and seek extramarital affairs in this stage of marriage. Many give up at this stage and want out. I don't want to be in this anymore. He is as bad as you can get him. She is as stubborn as you can get him. Maybe somebody will treat me better out there. That leads us to stage 3 in marriage. Mature love. It started with romantic love, and that goes hopefully for a couple years. But then love must transition to mature love. It's called mature love. In this stage, it's no longer love based on romance. Listen carefully. But a decision. Everybody shout decision. Now, decisions are made in life whether we want to or not, whether we feel like or we don't feel like. In life, decisions are made because they have to be made, whether it's a cool decision or a hard decision. In mature love, which is the final stage, it's no longer about romance, it's about a decision to do 3 things. Whether your partner is behaving to the best of their ability or not, you decide to do the right thing. It's no time for revenge. It's no time for playing dirty games. It's no time to try and get back. It's a decision to do the right thing. Secondly, in mature love, it's a decision to say the right thing even though your soul is telling you you have time to say the right thing. Let me offer you a dictionary of words you can use for a short moment. And thirdly, it's a decision to be the right person. That's mature love. And that's the place where every husband and wife will end up if they pass through the second stage, which is the awakening to the differences of each other. We come to the place where we no longer operate or move by feeling. It's a decision. I will be the right person to my wife. I will be the right person to my husband. I will choose the right words every day. And I will choose to do the right thing every single day. Mature love is tender. Do you like tender filet mignon? Do you like tender beef? Listen to me. One day I went to, I think it was a Chinese restaurant. And I ordered a steak because I love steak. I don't eat it often because it's not good for me, but I love steak. And I love steak thick. And I love it well, and even more well done. I like when you cut that thing, it's just as dark inside as it is outside. Well, I think I went to that Chinese restaurant one day, and when they brought out that plate with the steak, it smelled so good, so appealing. Even the little fumes the odor coming off of it, my gosh. I couldn't wait to put my fork and my knife into it. Well, long story short, when I bit that steak, my teeth almost fell out. You know what I had to do with that steak? Because it was like a piece of leather. I had to suck all the juice off the steak and throw away the rest. Nobody likes anything that's tough and hard. Mature love is not about being tough. Mature love is not about being hard. Mature love is tender. We must be gentle and careful with each other's feelings. Yes, we have to train ourselves to do that. Because if we don't watch it, we're just careful about our own feelings. But mature love is tender. We must avoid embarrassing our spouse. And that's a huge temptation, because sometimes it feels better when somebody knows I'm embarrassing my wife. When somebody knows I'm embarrassing my husband. It feels like payday. Have you ever tasted the payday chocolate before? There is a chocolate by the name of payday. Can't find it in Belize, but it's in the States. Boy, is that thing really good. And that's how it feels when you try to embarrass your spouse. It feels good, but there are repercussions to it. Mature love is tender. We must realize we're on the same team. We need to succeed together, not apart from each other. We're on the same team. Have you ever seen football players fighting against each other on the football field? No. They'll fight against the opponent, but not against each other. They'll never win. Mature love tells us that we're on the same team. If we're going to make it to the end, we've got to realize we're on the same side. Mature love is responsible. And this is where you got to grow up, because we know that kids are irresponsible. True or false? True or false? True or false? True. Is it because we're Belizeans we don't like to talk, or? Mature love is responsible. We respect our spouse and treat him or her with thankfulness and appreciation. We each take the responsibility in fulfilling our duty to build a good marriage. Because a good marriage will never be one-sided. It takes two people to build a dynamic marriage. And when one refuses to do it, it brings much pain. So in mature love, we don't just wait for the other person to do their part. Each should initiate themselves. Each should decide, I will take my responsibility to make sure that this relationship works. Mature love is accepting. We are now we willingly accept that we will never be alike. In the beginning, we thought we had so many things in common. But after passing through that rocky, rough road called the awakening of the second stage, in the third stage now we must decide that we will accept the difference of each other. We will never be alike. Secondly, we now recognize and accept our differences and celebrate it and not fight it. It's important to come to that place. Now that I have recognized that we will never be alike, I must then turn around and find the good in you and celebrate the good, and let's make it work together. Thirdly, we now learn to build on our differing strengths and weaknesses, because none of us are perfect. We must be accepting of each other. Mature love calls for that. Mature love is secure. This is where we say to each other, no matter what happens, we will make it together. I will not leave you. That's mature love. You know, there are often threats in relationship. If you continue to do that, I'll send you home. If you continue to do that, I'll walk away and I'll go find another woman and another man. That's not mature love. That's childish behavior. And Paul says you have to grow up. You got to man up. You got to woman up. You don't threaten the other person. You change so that the other person can receive love and your mercy. I will fill in the gap when you can't. I will do my part even when you find it difficult fulfilling your part in the marriage. And you know, as Christians, we have God with us. Even when it becomes difficult, we can pray. We can seek God. we can make it work with God. Mature love is trustful and open. As couples, we must strive to be truthful and honest with each other all the times. We don't hide things from each other. Number 3, mature love, which is a decision. It's not a feeling, it's a decision. Sharing how and what we feel on the inside of us. Many times we hold things in, and then it finally vents when we can't take enough. And when it vents, it smells just like the sewage. Because it's been locked up for so long. And when it vents, it gets ugly. The words that come out is ugly. The behavior that comes out is ugly. In mature love, we learn that we must share our feelings with each other. We learn to communicate effectively with each other. Mature love is humble. Everybody say humble. You know what we were born with? Pride. You know what we live and thrive off of? Pride. There's no place for that in marriage. There's only one place for pride. Hell. The devil. In marriage, in the final stage, humble character is what will help us to make it through to the end. We must learn to accept our faults and say sorry and mean it. I was wrong and I'm really sorry and I mean it. How do you know when you mean it? When you don't do it again. Because you mean it. Secondly, we must not threaten each other and try to gain control of the other. Mature love is humble. I don't want to control you and I don't want to put you in the position where you're under my control. We have to live with the differences of each other. Thirdly, mature love is humble. We must put selfish interests behind us. This is what caused most of the fight in a relationship, because we're selfish. But when you realize that when you get married, you're there for the other person and not for self, it helps a whole lot. This is not about me anymore. This is about her. This is about him. I must change my life to please her. I must change my life to please him. That's biblical. It's not about me anymore. Jesus, when he came to this earth, didn't come to please himself. Didn't come for a show, just for people to bow down to him. Jesus came and gave his life as a sacrifice, as a ransom for many, the Bible says. No wonder the Bible talks of him in the book of Philippians that he humbled himself even to the point of death for people that did not deserve it. And because of that, the Bible says God has exalted him. When we talk about mature love, when we talk about marriage, this final stage, it's not about self-interest. It's not about what I want, what I think. It's about the other person. How can I make that person happy? How can I make that person fulfilled? Imagine if we do that. If each person take the responsibility to do that, both man and woman would be happy and pleased. We must learn to develop the dreams of each other. Each of us have dreams in our hearts. We must learn to develop that. Because life is not just about the man. Life is not just about the woman. It's about us coming to the place where I want to help you to fulfill your dreams in this relationship, in life.